Hello everybody. Thank you for joining us for a second edition of our training. I am Agnes, Managing Director of ArKaos, and it's a pleasure to live stream from our demonstration lab at the main ArKaos Brussels office. Today I am with Benjamin and Leonard Mati, who is a Belgium-based light and video operator. He have amazing experience in theater, TV show, and festival. But he will speak a little bit later more about himself. Today, we want to use this special time to share with you how to best use MediaMaster from a lighting desk. You can post questions during the stream, and we try to do our best to rely during a training or at the end of this session. You have a more question later. The best way is always to use our support form on the right of the menu on ArKaos website, www.arkaos.com. Now maybe a few words on MediaMaster himself. So MediaMaster is free to try. For the people who join us for this training and don't have yet our product, you can download the free demo version from ArKaos website. MediaMaster we run on Mac OS and Windows. You can the installation process is very simple and anonymous. Installation come with a set of visual for you to start quickly. The free version of MediaMaster allow you do everything. You can connect your lighting console, your video wall. Everything is the same as a full version. Just of course you have a demo logo on the top on the output. Today also I would like to invite you to use our promotion that we put on our online shop. We provide during 48 hours a special discount of 20% on all our software upgrade. So if you like try our software or you want to prepare your next job, this is really a great opportunity to use this cool promotion that we have on our online ArKaos shop. Also, we provide you a facility with the payment. So you can pay in 3 times. And also you can buy the MediaMaster license, for example, just for 1 week or for 1 month. For the people who never used our product, they just want to try, so they can also have a for 1 week or for 1 month. Later, my colleague Benjamin, he will give you more information about the license, how this works, and the facility that we provide to the people regarding the licensing. And now I will transfer all you to my 2 colleagues, Benjamin and Leonard. They will go through the detail with MediaMaster Pro and connection with the lighting desk.
Thank you very much, Agnes. Hello guys, hello everyone, nice to see you all back. As you can see, we still are at the same point where I left you last week. We're now running theater mode with the nice cue list, the nice video that you could see during the introduction. So today, as Agnes explained, we are going to see MediaMaster in Fixture mode and how do you use the Fixture mode with the lighting desk, together with the lighting desk. For people that don't know the Fixture mode, so it's the second interface, that's the second UI of MediaMaster. This UI is dedicated and designed to work with lighting desk, any lighting desk. Today, Leona will show us how to use with the GrandMA, but everything you will do today, you are able to do in any other lighting desk, such as Shamsis, Evolite, Hawk, Jans, Onyx also from Elation, any of those. Okay, so now we are in Fixture mode, in theater mode, sorry, and we're gonna switch back to Fixture mode. There we go. You go Preferences, Application, and then you're gonna switch the application from theater to Fixture. Then press OK. pressing OK, switching from theater to fixture will toggle a restart of Media Master. That's a normal behavior. We need to reload. Our application. Let's wait that the application is fully started. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna just drag that a bit bigger for you guys so you see that better. There we go. So what I'm going to do right now, that's gonna be pretty quick, and then I'm gonna pass that to Leo. I'm gonna just explain you guys what do we see and what is that interface. A bit different than the theater modes, but still the same functionality, except you're gonna use it a different way. On the top, the square that you see up there are the layers, the playback, from 1 to 36 layers playback. Below, right here where you see my mouse, those are all the control that you can have through DMX. So you have visual. Let me do that for you. Visual selection, dimmer intensity, you have a cropping, a position, zoom, rotation, the playbacks, everything, every button that you see here are controllable through DMX, Artnet, DMX, or MANet. What is very important, and what Leo is going to show you today, is that you need to patch and tell to the software what profile of fixture you are going to use. All of those controls are fixture-based. It's fixture-based like any lighting source. So we publish on our website, and we publish also in the documentation fixture profile. Those fixture profile for people of you that are doing lighting are very similar to fixture profile of lighting fixture. And there you can see that we have different profile of master control. We have as well different profile of, let me find it back for you, layer control. So you can see, for instance, if I take my layer extend 1.0, first channel is dimmer, second channel is visual selection, then you have volume, aspect ratio, and so on and so on and so on. All of those profile are present into the library of fixture from your lighting desk. Okay, if you don't find the fixture profile of Media Master layer or the latest one, you can always browse our website, which is ArKaos.com. There we go. So the internet is a bit slow. Obviously, I'm doing a live at the same time on the same machine that I'm trying to go to internet for you guys. So yeah, okay, let's see why a bit later on why I don't have internet access right now. But anyhow, Leo is gonna explain you that later on. On our website, you have a dedicated page where you can download fixture profile for different lighting desk, MA, Hog, Avolite, any of those. Those fixture profiles are made by yourself or made by our partners or made by some ambassadors. So if you don't find the fixture profile in the lighting desk directly, of course, check if you have a official version from your lighting desk manufacturer, or you can always download that from the website. That's enough from me. That's enough talking. I'm gonna now pass by to Leo, and he's gonna explain you all details in the GrandMA and how to patch in Media Master.
Hello everybody, welcome to this ArKaos webinar. First of all, if you have any questions, Benjamin is following the Q&A and the chat window on a different screen. So if there are direct questions, please ask, and Benjamin will give them to me. If they're a bit more difficult questions or private questions, more things like how to approach your project, then we can send an email, or we can talk to it later on a one-on-one chat. First of all, I have my screen here. I'm going to give a brief introduction of productions I did last year using ArKaos. On this screen you can see this is a projection screen. It is 9 meters wide and 2 meters high. This is a production I did where I had projection, and it was a custom custom resolution. It was pure playout by ArKaos, and I also did all the lighting and programming of the servers and running the tour. We have a different setup where we have GrandMA2. I think this is 2 or 3 years ago. And you see these are all LED screens, no projection. I think this was run by one 4K media server.
Yes.
And we also had projection outside, but I don't have any pictures of that.
There was a white screen outside, right?
Yeah,
2 projector
there was
blend.
a 3 projector blend. But it was a combo of LED screens and projection, and it was live VJing using the GrandMA2. The advantage of doing this was that the GrandMA2 from the video operator, that was me, and the lighting operator was my colleague Matthijs from TCF, was in the same session, was in the same network, so we could make chases using these LED screens and, let's say, all the LED fixtures, all the blinders around the fixtures, and that could create big setups, or we could create effects where we can use all the video and all the lighting at once. But today I'm giving a short introduction about the Decibel Awards. I have a short video about the Decibel Awards, and this is a setup. We have a few screens at the back. These are all LED screens at the back, and it was Decibel Awards is a show in Wallonia, where it's an award show for musicians and bands once a year. So we had a part where we had the gig, we had the performance from the artist, but we also had a part where they could earn prizes, and that's this part. And this is a small setup we're going to use today. So we have one back screen in the back, 2 screens where we have the names of the nominees. This is the name of the title that we use for the award. This is the name of the nominees and the artwork of the nominees. And this is an LED floor where the people who would announce the prize would give the award away to the winner. So that's why I took a little screenshot of this. I'm going to close it.
You know the total resolution of the LED screen?
No, I don't remember anymore.
It was about 6 HD out or something like that in total.
I think I had 5 outputs.
5.
I had the LED wall in the back on the stage. I had the 3 side screens at the VIP, the 3 backgrounds at the VIP you're seeing right now at the LED floor, and on the other side of the venue there was one more screen where I had backgrounds, or I had the videos playing or use of the prompter.
Okay.
So we're taking a smaller setup of this, and I want to have 2 backgrounds today, one 16:9 background here, one 16:9 background here, and an LED floor. And we're going to create a small award show, because the award show is the same concept as we're going to use when we're doing corporate, that we have a standard background, we have a logo, we have names announcing for guest speakers, we have a pip, we have a PowerPoint, and things we can integrate all in that. If I'm doing a show like this, I always start with a layer list. And this is an example of a layer list. This is a screenshot from my Excel sheet. And because this was a pretty huge setup, I had 36 layers, excuse me. I have 36 layers patched. And this means that I patched 36 layers in the GrandMA2, and I each give them some sort of dedicated function. This doesn't mean that they will always do exactly this, but this gives me a structure that I always can have layers on top, and I already had calculated some spares, and that I'm always sure that when my client asks me, hey, I want an extra pip, or want an extra name, or the background needs a change, that I already had everything set in order, because the layer priority is pretty important in ArKaos. Just a small a brief reading from my layer list. I have 2 layers for backgrounds, just general backgrounds, like you can see in the picture. These squares and dots is my original background. It was 1 layer who was playing all the time on all my backgrounds, just as a base that the screens will never go dark. So I had 1 and 2 and just a spare, because if my client would ask me, hey, I want something on top of it or whatever, I just had a little of room here that I always had a layer spare. Then I had 6 stage layers, because in the video you saw first from Loïc Notin, I had the banners, so I had 6 banners in total, meaning I could use a layer to control all 6 of them, or I could take 6 layers and control each banner with a different dimmer value, different color, different video. I would just have the flexibility to provide my client whatever he wants. Then I had a spare 1 and 2, just for extras. Then I had a VIP, a VIP base, a sujet, that means videos, and a prompter and a spare. With VIP, I mean that this is the background that you see here. This is the VIP area, and so I had a few layers for all controlling here. And then I had on the other side of the venue, I had a side screen, and I had the same side base, side sujet, side prompter, and a spare. This was a general spare layer, just to fill in everything. Then I had my floor, my LED floor, I had a base, I had a spare. And then these things from 23 until 33 were all the layers that I needed for my award show. So I had a title, like a hit of the year. Then I had the 4 names of the nominees. I had the artwork of the nominees. I had the winner's name and the winner's artwork. And then I had a spare that could always overrule everything. And then these 2 layers are just extras because the lighting console also triggered my ArKaos server, but this was used as a LED mapper to control LED fixtures. These were not controlled by me, but it was running on my ArKaos.
Yeah, and we're gonna see, guys, on the next training, we're gonna see how to pixel map using a Media Master, using either ClickNet or Artnet as Leo used on that show.
Well, then we go on.
Yep.
I have a view here. I'm really sorry. I go back to my screen. I'm going to open GrandMA. This is the GrandMA on PC software. GrandMA on PC software. It's free to download, but you need any kind of GrandMA hardware
Yes.
to unlock parameters.
Yeah, indeed. We had often the questions. We have some people that download Media Master for free and download GrandMA, for instance, for free as well. They can run that on the same computer as we are doing right now. You have to know that MA doesn't unlock you parameters and control if you don't have an hardware. Huh? Leo, if you
Yes.
don't have an hardware of MA. Media Master in demo mode for free, comparison, you can do everything you want. You can have video mapping, you can have DMX control, Artnet control, MANet control. The only limitation that you can get is that you have a demo watermark on the output, but all the features are there and accessible to you on Mac on PC. So keep in mind that the MA on PC, you need an MA hardware.
Yep. We'll go on. I just opened
For instance, here, sorry again, we have a node, we have a small node, so you don't need the big desk, you don't need a big setup. Here we are, everything is, Leo is going to show, we are using a node of about 2 universe of control, if that's the
yes,
smallest project.
Yes,
Huh?
correct, Mundo.
Yeah.
So I opened a complete empty blank file from GrandMA. So no special things, no start file, no fancy macros. I only prepped these windows just to go a little bit quicker in our webinar. But if I would open the software, it would be completely blank like this. First of all, we go into the patch. We go to Setup, Patch and Fixture Schedule, and here we're going to set up 8 layers for this webinar. I'm going to name this ArKaos layers, and I'm going to from library. And we just go and take the standard ArKaos layer. I'm using this standard. I modified it myself a little bit in GrandMA to make myself a little bit quicker. but this is only when you are advanced in GrandMA that I would advise you to do this. Whatever we do here, this is the fixture we are going to use, layer extended 1.0. It takes up 71 channels, and I most of the times use this layer because this is the only layer who will give you a full control of the complete ArKaos layer.
Yes, indeed. So all parameters that you see down there from Media
Yes.
Master, all of those are controllable when you use the extend mode of a layer.
I switched quickly to ArKaos. If you see here, you can see the dimmer value, the copy modes, the color, the position, the cropping, all the effects and the playback. The extended layer is the only one who can control all these parameters via DMX. If you use any other kind, you can do a show, but you're not as flexible as always, but maybe you don't need it. If you only need to do a playout and a PowerPoint, and it's a little bit straightforward, maybe you can choose a different fixture file, because that will save you a few parameters, and it's easier to control because you have less things that you need to think about. So I'm switching back to GrandMA. If you see the layer extended here in GrandMA, you can see all the parameters that are inside this fixture. These parameters, this is a DMX profile, as Benjamin explained. This is the same as in Evolite, Shamsis, Hoch, any kind of DMX controller can control these parameters. So what I'm going to explain you today is the use of these parameters. I'm not going to teach you things in GrandMA. I'm just going to show you how you can manipulate any kind of parameter and what it will do in ArKaos. So I take the extended layer, I do import. I say I want 8 layers. I want fixture ID 1, no channel ID, and we're going to patch it on 1.001. So the first universe, first address. Meaning we have all the layers here. This is the patch, it's auto-following. I'm going to select these and just quickly name them layer 1 until 8. When leaving this, I'm going to check if my MANet is working. So I already had a session running, and this is my IP address where my MANet will be outputting. At this moment, we have GrandMA and Media Master running on the same machine. If you have a console, you need to do this part on your console, set up the correct IP address, take the correct Ethernet output, and also change your setup in Media Master. If you want to use Artnet, this is the way to go for Artnet, but again, that would be a little bit too MA dedicated, so I'm not going to explain that. We're just outputting from via MANet, and for this moment I'm switching back to Media Master. We did everything in MA that was needed to output any parameters, so we're going to start the setup in Media Master. I opened Media Master Pro 5.6, that's the newest at the moment. In fixture mode, so we're going to File Preferences, and here we can set up the DMX. The DMX interface that we're using at the moment is MANet. It's a bit easier, and I need to choose this setup because I have my node connected, and I need my network interface to be connected to my node, so I have a dedicated IP address, and that's why I'm using MANet. If you're using a different console, you can use Artnet. So if you're external console like a Shamsis or Hawk, or we don't want to specify any brands, but they're sending Artnet, so you can switch to which protocol you're listening. We're in session ID 1. You're starting
also
at the
going back on the protocol, we are compatible with USB to DMX device, such as the one from MTech, as well one from American DJ and Elation. So if you have those devices and you plug into your computer, then start Media Master, on the drop-down menu that Leo shows, there should show a DMX direct input. So also if you have a smaller lighting desk that cannot output network or Artnet, you can have straight DMX through XLR controlling the software.
Perfect, Amino. So I'll proceed. We have MANet, session ID 1, universe 1, and we have universe count of 16. I saw in my patch that it was patched on 2 universes, so we could lower this to 2 universes, but this is not necessary. We're using this interface, but if you're using any other interface or you need a different IP address, you can switch your interface here. Then we go to select fixture, and this is the same as we did in GrandMA. So today we're only patching layer fixtures. Layer fixtures are these fixtures we use, where we can choose the video and do the playout and stuff like that. The master fixture, surface and output fixtures are things we maybe discuss today, but this is pretty advanced. So if we have a layer fixture, the same as in GrandMA, we need to choose
what's mandatory here is you have to at least patch layer to control media master. The master control will give you control of master brightness, master contrast. So the same as master control that we saw in the theater mode. Patching a master into a lighting desk is not mandatory. You can run a show without master. If you don't need to tweak live during the show your brightness, your master contrast, or your master volume out, or do a blackout, if you never need to do that because you set up it once using your mouse into the interface and you're happy with that, then don't patch it, don't use it, okay? Just keep in mind to try to keep it as simple as you can. It's not mandatory to have a master. I see a lot of people patching one master, 36 layers. It's up to you. So if you like to patch only 1 layer, 10 layer, no master, that's as you wish. Surface control and output control are control dedicated to the video mapper. I hope we have time to see surface control today. Anyhow, we will have a proper session on the video mapper and that will be covered, guys. So for the minimum control of media master in fixture mode, you need to patch a layer. And then Leo is going to explain you what profile you can choose.
So in GrandMA, I chose the layer extended 1.0 and we patched up 8 layers here. So I will say okay, and this one is filled in here. If this would be any kind of wrong number, you can select the auto patch and say this is a start universe, start channel, and auto patch, and it will auto fill in. Let's say you need it on universe 3, you can switch it and it will auto patch. Now it gives an error because the universe count is too small.
Yeah, exactly. So there is a common error. So you can see that the interface is explaining you exactly what's wrong. So you have said that you start from universe 1 and you count maximum 2 universe, and Leo have selected a universe which is above that. So you need to either change a universe which is below your limit or get your limit higher, which is the universe count.
Yeah. So I did the auto patch again. We have universe 1, start channel 1 is our first layer. And so we proceed until 8. This is all correct. Patching is valid. So ArKaos gives us a confirmation that everything is okay. We click to apply and okay. I'm now going to switch to a view where you have GrandMA and ArKaos next to each other.
We can see also bottom right status, as I explained on the previous live. You can see directly that the status DMX light is on. It means there is DMX information received to the software. So there you can already check that both application or both server and lighting desk are already talking to each other.
Okay. The only thing that I did now, the screen from my GrandMA is one screen, the media master is another screen on my output, and I'm just going to switch a few times that you can see media master or GrandMA in front. The screen that you see in the left bottom corner is our output screen, but first we're going to check if our GrandMA is running correctly and if you have control via our MANet. So in MA, I take channel overlay, I take fixture 1 at, and you directly see here in media master, I'm going to switch it to front, that you have control of the DMX. And I'm going to clear it again. You see that this one, the dimmer value will go back to 0. What I'm first going to do is make a group from all my layers. 4 store 5 6, 7, 8. And directly I'm going to do the same thing as I'm used to do when I do it in advance on my Excel sheet. I'm going to give them a dedicated control. So I'm going to give this the name background 1. This is not, this is just a way how I'm programming. And this is a small tip and trick just to let you know that this could be a way to keep your show file organized and to be flexible to your client. So I'm using label and then title. Then we have name 1 of the nominee, name 2 of the nominee. I'm going to name spare. Maybe my client wants any picture or whatever. And then I have a winner spare. All these 8 layers, I can select them, and I'm going to open up the dimmer. And you can see when we switch again to ArKaos, if I click on the layer, I can see all the DMX values that are changed via my console. And if I go to the other layers, I can see the different values for this layer. So when we start doing more things than only change the dimmer value, we need to go to a dedicated layer, like we want to see on which output are we using it. We can click on the layer, and then the GUI will change to the settings that specific layer is going to is receiving via DMX.
Yeah. So you can see as well as the fixture mode, the interface of MediaMaster. Leo can tweak every parameters using his mouse in the interface, but the interface is redesigned to be a monitoring of what you are doing with the desk. As Leo explained, every parameters that you see below there are going to move live during your programmation. So at any point during your programmation, you're a bit lost because the result on the screen is not what you expect. Select the layer that you are using, and there you're going to see directly every parameters. Maybe the position is not right, maybe you dim down the RGB to 0, some things like that. So you can also see that as a monitoring of what you do with DMX.
Yeah. Although in GrandMA we can use fixtures, presets, I'm really sorry, we can choose different fixtures. I like to have my GUI monitor from ArKaos next to my console, just to give me the feedback from ArKaos. Just like Benjamin told me, maybe your RGB values are down to 0. You can always check by going to that layer and say, hey, I don't know what's happening. And you can read out what your GUI, read out what the DMX is doing to that kind of layer. Yeah. So we already are finished in GrandMA, we are finished in ArKaos. The next thing we need to do is manage all our outputs. To manage our outputs, we use Edit and we go to Video Mapper. And I'm putting the screen up here. Today we're only outputting on one screen, but I want to make a picture-in-picture. So we have the sync master here. That's one screen we are going to use as an output. Everything that has the small ball, the white dot, the white dot in front, once you go to full screen, to output things, will go to output. So this is my GUI. This is the monitor where I'm running MediaMaster, and this is the one we are using to output today. So this is the only monitor that needs to go in full screen. As you can see, so we never been yet into the Video Mapper in our sessions, but most of you know to use the Video Mapper, of course. You could maybe notice that our Video Mapper setup is a bit funky, but we do the training and the live on Facebook at the same time with the same machine. So back here is a bit of a NASA control with a lot of screens. So don't bother about the extra A2, A1 that are floating around. It's a bit of a setup which is a bit unusual, let's say. First of all, what I mostly do is go to source and open a test card. This is one generated by ArKaos, and just a standard test card to have some kind of output. And at the left bottom screen, you still that it's black and you see the MediaMaster logo. That's because we're still not in full screen mode. Once we go into full screen, all the screens with the white dot we'll start outputting, and then we can see, you see now in the left, the bottom left corner, you can see this is the output we are sending to the LED wall, to the projector or whatever. Once we start switching it in Video Mapper, you can see the full screen that is that has been changed. This is the part, the top part is the part of our display. So this display is set to 1920 1080. And so we can take a few samples out of these. What we're now doing is we take a full screen mode, a full screen, and we send it to the full screen of the output. But today, because we are going to create 3 kinds of screens, I would like to take the full screen out of this output, but I'm going to change it, and I want to keep it to a smaller size. I already calculated this, and this should be 920/512.
So Leo, you are now reproducing the setup from the show you explained before.
Yes. So what this is still a 16:9 output, but just on a smaller part. Like this would be the LED interface, and this would be a smaller screen. It won't be a full HD that we're outputting. What we're now doing is we take the full screen of our Media Master output, but we're sending it to a smaller part of our physical output.
So we do a sampling there.
Yes.
So bottom part of the video mapper, you have to see that as the outputs, where you're going to draw and fill your output, resolution of projector, resolution of your LED screen. And the top part is the sampling, the cropping area, where you used to call it, is the input part. So which portion of my video content will I send to my output, which is below, a bit roughly there.
Today we're only outputting on LED walls, meaning we don't need any kind of warping or color corrections or blend mode. We only take a square and we output it on a square. I already prepped my show file for this, and I made a draft display. This is just a tip and trick I want to give to people. When you're prepping at home, you can always click here and make a new draft display. This is just things to prep at home.
If you don't have the screen.
If you don't have the physical output, correctamundo. On these, I already made all my outputs. And this is the setup we're going to use today. So we have 1 screen, 2 screens, and an LED floor, where we're going to program a small award show. So what I always like to do, I'm going to close these, that you don't see them. I take screen number 1. This is screen number 1 and screen number 2, and I take them in different orders. So I take the full 1920 1080, but this is a mapped file that if I would play content, it would go from one side to the other, meaning this will never be, this is just a stretch from the 2 surfaces. I made the same for the floor. Floor is just a full output, but because the floor is 4 meters by 4 meters, it's not a 16:9, but it's just a 1:1. I changed my sampling settings to 1080 in the center, meaning if I play a background, that this will cover the complete background, but it still stays a circle. It's not stretched. If it would
keep
be,
the ratio. Yeah?
I keep the correct ratio. If I would change it to this part and I sample everything, the full 16:9 sampling, but I would squeeze into a 1:1, you see that my my output is totally deformed. Yes. So I'm going to rechange the width to 1080, and you see that we sample a square and we output a square. Other times these surfaces would be on different outputs each, but just to have a representation today, we put it on the same monitor. This is screen number 1, screen number 2, and the LED floor. And then what I would like to do, so I shut down all the surfaces. I also make a screen 1 full and a screen 2 full, meaning these are the full 16:9s, and I'm sending a copy to both of them. This is my way of programming, that if I have a background that I want to have full on both of them, or I need a title, or I need a PowerPoint picture-in-picture, I can just take the full output from the 16:9 and send a copy to those 2. Because this is still in my draft display, I need to move these to my physical output. So this was my introduction surface, but I'm going to delete this. And it's a very easy way. You can select all your surfaces and you can move them to the desired.
So that's something you can totally do with your laptop home to prep a show, even without license. So everything Leo is showing here, that he is prepping the surface, creating them, drag and dropping them on other screens. That's something you can do on your laptop before. You can even do that on a Mac and then export your mapping file, and re-import that on the servers that you have on a show from the rental company or whatever. I think you have to unlock.
Yeah, it's not accepting it all the time. I'm going to delete this one and just make a quick new one. Floor full. So this will be a 540, and this will be like that, and I would just move it down. Voilà, this is in the center, but this is stretched as as mentioned before.
And then you
So
just
now
have
this
to
is
recrop.
correct. This is also important. The order that you're using these layers are also the orders that are being outputted. Meaning, if we have a layer, and although it is an add, it will not add or subtract to a different layer. So all these layers are also in a special order, and that's why I keep my mapped layers at the bottom and I keep my full layers at the top. Meaning, most of the times the mapped ones, so these where the content goes from one side to the other, are used for backgrounds, but the full ones I use most of the times to create titles, and these need to be on top of everything else. Because we are ready with this setup, we can go to File, Export.
So exporting is not mandatory. You can do that where you like to have a backup. While closing the video mapper, automatically an XML file will be generated and loaded into MediaMaster, as I show you in the previous slide, onto into the library. So just closing now the application, you will not lose anything from your setup. Leo like to export, because exporting also you can have backups, but also you can go back in time if something was not wrong, or you like to try some other stuff.
Before leaving this, we have other displays that have physical connections. They will, of course, stay in the video mapper. Once we have draft displays, and if they don't have any kind of surface, once we close and reopen the video mapper, they will be gone. If there is one surface inside, they will stay in the video mapper.
As well for disconnected screens. So if you have one of your output that get disconnected at some point, let's say for instance my A1 PL2490 gets disconnected because I disconnect the connector, that screen will stay in my mapping. If there is a surface, it will just show in red, and if I reconnect the screen, it will automatically be recognized and it will show in white into my video map.
So we will close the video mapper.
You can see now by closing the video mapper, the application is flashing once and going full screen. That means, as I explained before, the XML file that contain all the information that Leo did in the video mapper are now loaded into MediaMaster.
The next that we will do, so we already set up our GrandMA, everything is patched. We set up our ArKaos using the MX. We set up our physical outputs and our surfaces. So the next that we will do is set up our library management. This is also under Edit, Library Management, and we will open a folder. This pop-up window has 256
but that's something we already
folders.
covered in the previous slide. So I think we can.
So we have the folders,
and that you're gonna
clips.
drag and drop the visual directly into the library. As I explained in the previous slide, that's still online if you like to watch. You better drag and drop the visuals into the library directly.
This is also something that we will control using the GrandMA. We will choose a folder and we will choose a video that we will play. So it's really important that you know in advance in which folder you're placing something and in which video number or file you will put it, because that will speed up your process. So just to keep away from the standard content, you can delete all this content, but I'm starting at 11. So first of all, we're going to import a background. I like to manage my files in folders that everything has a correct structure and everything adds up. In my desktop, I already have prep webinar some content, and I don't have it yet. Download intro picture, no. So normally prep webinar content, no.
Looking for some visuals?
Yeah, but I already had prepped Untitled ArKaos webinar. Here it is. So you can go wherever you want on your Finder, and if you drag and drop,
yeah, indeed,
it will copy paste. So this is the loading bar, and it will copy paste to your root folder, meaning you can directly import from any kind of
external
source. Yes, and you don't have to be afraid to eject your USB stick or your hard drive,
because it's copied on the local one. And you don't need also to rename the visual by giving the slot address, because in DMX, as you control everything to DMX, the slot address is important because it's as an actual DMX value. So the first visual is 001 value, the second visual is 002. You can see that Leo drag and drop visuals and don't care about the names. Media Master will put in front of the name of the visual the good slot numbers. You don't have to think about that, it's done automatically.
So what I just did is I took the folder background and I imported two backgrounds. I have a base background and a winner background. I already gave them a name, but this would be things that my client would do. I renamed the next one and I call it names. Meaning for this award show, I will import the title, so the example awards, and then we have a winner Leonard and winner Benjamin. This is just any kind of introduction. So what are we now going to do is we take our first layer, we go back to GrandMA.
Yes.
We take our first layer, we open the dimmer. I'm sorry, I'm going to do it this way that everybody understands what I'm doing. I'm opening the layer, so you can see that the layer got open. I'm going to Gobo, I take folder 11, and I take my first entry folder. As you can see now, this first layer has this visual, has this dimmer value, and also seeing in GrandMA, I have my dimmer and I have my Gobo. If I look at the output, I see we're going through all outputs. And this is really every surface that we have in the video mapper will be controlled via this layer.
How many outputs did we create?
We created 5 outputs.
5 outputs. Okay, so there you can see the preview bottom left, that it's everywhere.
All on top of each other. So if I would go in GrandMA to video and I say output, now I want the first output. This is my first one, then the second one, then the third one. But here, immediately, excuse me, at display we see no surface, meaning that there is a problem in the order or in the DMX values of the surfaces. So that's the thing that we need to adjust. We go back to edit. That's the next thing we're going to adjust, and take the output management.
Yeah, you can already see pretty quickly, because if you check output where the mouse is right there, you can see that the index is 2, so the index is correct. Leo sent the visual to the index 2, but you can see there is no name there, and in the list now, index 2 is empty, so there is no surface attached to that DMX value.
Yeah, so I will come back again to output management, meaning edit, output management.
Yes.
And here we can make groups, or we can go and check what the DMX is. So this default setting is 0 at all outputs.
That you can't change, it's always that, yeah.
At 1 we have screen 1 mapped, but at 2 we have nothing at the moment. So if I do a left click, I can, these are all the surfaces that are
from the mapping file,
video mapper. So I take screen 2, Then my third one will be my floor. Then my fourth one will be screen 1 full, and my other one will be screen 2 full. So now again, when I go through my display outputs, I see number 1, I see number 2, 3 is my floor, and then 4 and 5 are again my my screen number 1 and 2, but with a different kind of sampling. Meaning this is the full output, but when I go to display output 1, I only see half of my content. When I see display 4, I see the same output, but I see my full content. So that's something totally different. What I would like to do, because this is a background, this is a base, I would like to adjust them to all my outputs. Meaning, if I go to edit output management, I'm going to make a group. So
yes.
I make a group and I say all output.
So the group will be a group of different surfaces. Keep in mind that now we do that over one physical output.
Yes.
But you can group surfaces that are on different output that are physically different connectors. Okay, because everything is floating, everything is one big system, and we manage the output, and we can create group cross physical connectors. So this is not a limitation.
So because this is my all output, I would like to have screen 1, screen 2 in the mapped setup, and the floor full. And if I now go to DMX and I scroll to number 200, this is a dedicated setup. It is impossible to have any outputs.
The groups start out with
underneath,
200.
yes, underneath 200. So these are the groups, and I can do the same as I would like to do in as my surface outputs, is I can choose the correct order here. Me personally, although I only use one surface, I always make a group out of it, just because you can go to a different group and like in example screen 1 mapped. If I make this one and I add screen 1 mapped, afterwards when my client wants something different, or we need to do an adjustment, or I need to add in screen 1, I need to add ClingNet or LED mapper, or they want a copy from screen 1 mapped to a different output, I can just go to my output management and I go to the grouping that I want, and I click the extra groups that are in here.
And you can edit that and change.
This is a tip and trick I want to tell to everybody. If you're in the dedicated surfaces, if you need to add anything, you need to update presets or go through your whole show, and if you have hard values, you're screwed. So I advise everybody to use these groups. Although they're only one surface, always use the groups.
You can create up to 50 groups.
Yep.
50 different groups, indeed. You can have a group of 100 surfaces. So you can create 200 surfaces in a system and 50 groups. And as Leo explained, you can have a group with one surface, but you can also have a group that have 50 surfaces. That's not...
Also, what I'm going to make right now is screen 1 and 2 a copy. Meaning I will add screen 1 and screen 2 in full. What this will do is I can use one layer but send them to two surfaces, meaning that we on screen 1 and screen 2 will have a copy of each other. New screen 1 full, screen 1 full, screen 2 full, screen 2 full, floor. We can always change the surfaces that are in the group using this drop-down menu, and we can check screen 2 is full, that's correct, and we can recheck the order that we're using in the output management. So we have an all output, screen 1 mapped, screen 2 mapped, a copy, 1 full, 2 full, and a floor.
And that's something you can dynamically change during a show even, because that won't re-trigger anything visible on the screen. So let's say during the show you have to change something pretty quickly in your setup. You can always change the output management live during the show. That's not an issue for the system.
So we'll go back to GrandMA, and now we'll take output and we scroll down, and we're going to use group output number 1. And now you can see in my output window that we have screen 1 and 2 that is mapped, so it is one complete output, and the LED floor that is a base from my is also a base, and we have a beautiful screen starting our TV show. I'm going to store this on a fader. I'm going to activate the fader, and what we now did, we used this layer. We went to outputs, all outputs. This is a group that I'm using. This is my control, which surfaces are in here. And we're using one layer that controls 3 surfaces, that's outputting on 3 outputs from the GrandMA. I'm going to label my sequence. This is the show. And now we'll go on. So I go back to GrandMA.
Yeah.
And I'll take a title. I open up the dimmer at 100. So now I'm using layer 3. So in my GUI, I prefer to go layer 3. And now I can see all the changes that I will do to layer 3. In GrandMA, I will choose the file, the video file I'm playing. This is number 12, number 1. And we can see these are the ArKaos example awards. Here you see the content that is playing. The checker box is because this has an alpha. And the problem with this is that now we're outputting on all outputs, but I only want to output it on screen number 1. So we'll go back to video.
By the way, that gives a great look on the output, Leo. Let's say it's very creative.
Thank you. So this one will go on output. I'm very sorry. On output 5. So this will be on screen 1 full. And now we see it on the first screen, but it's a little bit stretched. That's because this content is not 16:9. And because here we can see the aspect ratio is set to stretch. So this is also something that I would like to change in GrandMA, that this has to be a pixel to pixel. Meaning, and now I have to look, oh, I'm sorry. I go to shapers and I go to the aspect ratio and I fill in 80. You see directly on the GUI that this is 1:1 pixel. Yeah, and now this is the correct aspect ratio. Yeah, exactly. This is a new feature. Yeah, this is a new feature that ArKaos implemented, that content will never be stretched and never is just play out like you put it inside the console.
Yeah, exactly. So 1 pixel of content will be 1 pixel of the output. So if your pixel is let's say an HD video, and you're gonna play that on a 4K screen, and you set to aspect ratio 1:1, the video that you play will fill only a quarter of the screen, because it will be 1 pixel of content, 1 pixel to the output.
Yeah. So what I just did, I went to shapers, I went to position, and I changed these positions. What I could now do, we have a dimmer value, we have a gobo, we have a shaper and video. All these things are fixed, are hard values. And if I would now store it inside a queue, then it would be very hard for me every time that I would like to recall this gobo, this ArKaos example awards. I need to go to gobo, choose the folder, choose the input, choose the video. So that's why we're going to store everything in a preset. This is the award title.
So it's a preset that contains only the position value?
No, only the gobo value.
The gobo value,
yes.
Okay.
I also have one for shapers, because I made a position assign. This is position title. And I also have one for video, because I want this to a dedicated layer, and I label it screen 1 full. So when I now want to put this in a queue, I go to my executors and I say store here, create second queue.
So basically now you just create a queue of video like you would create a queue of lighting, and there is no difference into queuing 2 layers in Media Master than queuing 2 moving head.
Yes, correct, Amino. So when I now off my my executor, I clear my my programmer. We have two cues. This is the base cue. This is the title. And if I now push go, we see a nice fade in from the ArKaos Example Awards.
Just a small question. I can see that maybe sometimes we have the case and it's common that the alpha is not pretty correct. Can we maybe show how to use some copy modes, or can I a bit adjust the let's say the blending of that visual?
Yes, I will do the blending once we have the names.
Okay,
because
okay,
then,
sure.
Then I can show you the difference on how to do what. So we have the title of this, and now we need two names. So I go back to my screen 2. I say we have name number 1, name number 2. I open the dimmer. I go to layer 12 and I say this is number 2. And now both of them.
And this one is nice.
Both of them are the same. So now we have Benjamin and Leo. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. Oh, sorry. And now these are still outputting to, when I click on the surface, these are still outputting to all surfaces. So that's why I'm going to choose, and I'm going to output these to screen number 2. Screen number 2 full. And we see that Leonard and Benjamin are on the same place. So I'm taking Leonard and I move it a little bit up. Oh, sorry. Of course. 30. And I take Benjamin.
You can also see as well while Leo is moving the parameters. You can see in the position, the blue square there, that the visual has moved to upper position. So you can see live the layer moving into your interface as well.
So now we have the two nominees. We have Leonard and Benjamin. And as said, you can see here in position that these are moved up and down. If I would take this with my mouse and I would start moving it around, you can see in my output that this is this will be moved, but DMX is not a two-way connection, two-way talking connection. Meaning, once I push edit and resync to DMX, this again will be stored to the value that the DMX is
the last
outputting.
frame,
There is no possible way that if you move anything around here and you say store in GrandMA or in Shams's or whatever, that you can store away this info.
So the resync to DMX is pretty useful on shows. Maybe you will have some shows where you have somebody else which is handling Media Master and you are on your desk doing cues, and you don't know if that person have touched any parameters in the layers. So the resync to DMX is very important. You will always reset Media Master to the last frame of DMX receive. Also, a small modification is that the resync to DMX can be triggered through DMX too. That is in master control. So in master control, if you pass a master, you have a functionality where from the desk you can ask Media Master to resync to DMX, so resync to the last frame of DMX you receive before doing any change manually into the interface.
In the meantime, I just gave my my presets a name, nominees. So I gave them a preset name, and now we're going to store name 1 and name 2 on these presets. We go to our executor and I say store here. Nominees. We'll have a 2-second fade, and of course, to all GrandMA users, we'll be using a move in black, meaning my GrandMA will already prep my video, prep my positions, and only do the fade in. If I now push go, we can see on our output that Leonard and Benjamin are outputting, are popping up on our screen 2 full. Voila, Leonard and Benjamin. And so the next will be a winner. We go back to our screen 1, we take the winner, and we, oh, excuse me, we're opening up the dimmer. We go to Gobo, 12th folder. Oh, and let's say Benjamin, I'm really sorry, Benjamin will be the winner. NV3. So layer number 7 again is going to all outputs, but this one we want to have it on the floor. So I will go to video, all outputs, and I'll say this is number 5. No, number 5 is screen 1 full, so that's not correct. Screen 2 full. These are things that I would take in a preset to the floor, and we will make it a little bit smaller. Let's say 15. Oh, it is the other way around. 95. 85. Now Benjamin is on the center floor, and Benjamin is the winner of the ArKaos awards. So I will put these also in a gobo. Winner, store, floor, winner position. So I will take all these parameters and put them in my next queue, meaning this is a winner. 2 seconds, and again we will activate the move in black like this. And what we now can see is, oh, I'm going to off everything. I'm going my full output, and this is at the moment what we already made. We have a background. So
Benjamin was the...
Yes, I'm going, my programmer wasn't cleared yet. Yeah, so this is
always
my base.
Clear your programmer, guys.
I'm pushing go. We see the ArKaos example awards fading in. We see our 2 names. These are the nominees, Leonard and Benjamin is the winner. UPA. What we see at the moment is that Benjamin, so I'll switch back to my GrandMA. Benjamin at this moment is on top of the layer, and it's just a square. Although you see a little bit of alpha channels, it is on top of the layer. But let's say we have layer 7, and we would like to adjust the mode. We can go. Oh, I forgot my aspect ratio.
Yeah.
Now it's correct because everything was stretched.
Well, that's okay. We could see. Huh?
Yeah.
That's all right.
So I'll take my winner. And in beam, we have a copy mode. And at this moment, it is copy. When I go to add, you will see on my full output. So now I'm going to switch to full output. You won't see what I'm doing in GrandMA, but you see that...
Can maybe have, or change the background, or have the visual a bit bigger?
The Benjamin video?
Yeah.
Yes, I will make it a little bit bigger. Oh, that's not correct.
Yeah, bigger. Yeah, indeed. So there you can see that Leo changed the value of blending. So we have the 2 layers that addition on top of each other. So you can see the background behind. Of course, depending what kind of visual you have, the effect will be different, of course.
So there are different copy modes. I'm going to, this is subtract. This is multiply. These are things that you need to adjust while doing it. Let's say we want add, so we have a little bit of blending.
So there you can see that into the letters you see some visuals as well. Also in Media Master, if we switch to Media Master, we can see that the copy mode are changing. Those copy mode and the masking mode are very useful for you guys during a show when your customers, your client ask you for some different look and you like to overlay different visuals and you don't have the to the chance to re-render the content, or we going through an After Effects or something like that, Media Master will give you all the blending mode and masking mode that are available. So maybe we can just go through with your mouse, maybe the masking mode. So I'm there in Media Master. So
Media Master bigger.
Per layer you have, so the usual one, you can see addition is now engaged, you have subtraction, multiplication, minimum value, lighten, darken. But what's very interesting is the masking mode there. So masking mode, that's how two layer will blend on top of each other using a Luma Key or Chroma Key. So if you click on the first one, so there we have a Luma Keying of my visual. It means that enable below, if you just stay on that one, that below there you have 3 DMX control that are enabled. So you will select which part of my content I like to have transparent. Luma Keying, you can only work on lightness of content. So do I want to have my black part of my content, of the white part of my content to be transparent? There's, as you can see, we have select the black part, so you can see that the letters are no, if you can stay there, the letters are now black. Then you have 2 controls on top of that. The first 2 blue arrows are the size of my spectrum. So what size of pixels do I want to be transparent? Is that from very dark to a bit grayish? And then the second blue bar, the other 2 blue bar bottom to the interface, there is the tolerance. So it will give a bit of a smoothness in the edge, so give you a bit of tolerance between 2 lightness of pixel. Of course, you can do that in subtraction, as we are doing right now. So I subtract that color, so that lightness of pixel from my visual. You can see there I remove the black. And if I do it in addition, and now you click with addition, now you can see that I can only see in my layer Benjamin, which is the black, which is what I've selected there. If we go to Chroma Keying, that's the same way, addition and subtraction, except there you are not working on the lightness of a pixel, you are working on the full color spectrum. So with the first DMX of parameters, you're gonna select, and you can just move there, you're gonna select the colorful line. If you want to have which color you like to have transparent, obviously here we will select red. Okay, and then again with the top and bottom line, the blue lines, you're gonna have a fine tuning. If you have not maybe very red pixels, but they are a bit red up to orange, you're gonna have that the 2 top one a bit open. And then if you like to smooth a bit the king, you will have the bottom line, so the tolerance exactly a bit wider to have a smooth blending. Yes, again, because we did all these things in our GUI with our mouse, this is applied to our output, and maybe this is the desired effect, but once you resync to DMX, you will lose all these settings. If you would like to have these settings, you can go into Shapers, Mask, and in GrandMA you can select the Luma Key. Luma Key, yeah, they are well. And the two parts of Luma Key and the 2 parts of Chroma Key. Addition, subtraction. Correct the window. So if I choose my correct Luma Key, you will directly see in the interface that it will pop up. Yeah. And once you have the center, and I will move this center to 20, you will see that this bar got changed. I'm going to open ArKaos a little bit more. This bar has moved, and also when I see the edging, I'm going to over exaggerate. The edges are now completely open. Yeah, these are things you can control via DMX. Yeah, so there you don't see anything from the visual anymore, because you have set to take the full spectrum as king, so to remove the full spectrum of lightness of pixels. So it removes from the very dark to the very light pixel. Yep. So basically everything from your visual. Yeah, this is also controlled via DMX. Only the extended mode that we're using right now has this function. Control, yeah. The other channels doesn't has these functions, but you're not losing that many DMX channels, you're not using that many parameters. So you need to know in advance of your show, what are you going to do, what are your needs, what are your preferences. Let's say our client is really happy with the show and we have the ArKaos award show, but they're like, hey, when we announce the winner, we want something extra, we want the background to change, we want something more spectacular.
what if we didn't prep our show and we just take, okay, we take layer number 1, we have the background, layer number 2, we have the title, layer number 3 is Leonard, 4 is Benjamin, 5 is the winner. Then we would say, okay, it's no problem, you want a different background, we'll take number 8, we'll open the dimmer, and we choose the second background that the client gave us on user folder 11, number 2. And now our background will pop up and overwrite everything, because this is layer number 8, and layer number 8 will overrule everything.
Because it's above, it's a bit like Photoshop, so layer number 1 is below everything, layer 36 is on top of everything, so obviously you can prioritize the layers like that.
So you would say, but that's no problem because we have a copy mode and we're really happy and we just do it on add. But then you see that the content will get really strange, and also the purple is coming through and stuff like that. So this is the main reason that it's really important that if you prep a show file, we have a base 1, a background, and a second one already prepped in our minds. So I'm going to clear number 8 again. And let's say,
so that's why you have 2 layers of background.
Yes, and that's why I already in advance thought about my construction and say, okay, we have number 1, number 2 is my background spare. If my client has extra things, you can add things to that. If my client wants an artwork, we have layer 6 somewhere in between, and we already provided gaps that my client gets what he wants. So
because sometimes clients change their mind. That can happen to you guys. Sometimes they are very creative, let's say.
So I'm going to do the same thing with with layer 2 as I did with layer 8. So I'll take layer 2, I open up the dimmer, I go to my specified folder, my second background, because my client likes these, and then again I'm going to my output, and I'm going to use my group. Never use the all outputs because you have so many fixtures on top of it, and once you add a new surface, it will automatically stream to that one. So always go for the safe movement. And let's say we go to output group number 1. That's the same as we use in layer number 1. I'm sorry, I'm going to pop up GrandMA. And now if we look at our output, we have the ArKaos example awards, we have Leonard, Benjamin, and the name of the winner, all the same as we had on the purple background. Meaning I'm going to store this one, store queue number 4, we pop it in here, we say merge. And this is the reason that I already prep my files in advance. I make an Excel sheet with all the layers that I'm going to use, and I'm going to change these things.
Yeah, indeed. Something that you have to keep in mind, guys, if you watch there the interface of Media Master, you can see that layer 1 is still running with the visuals. If you don't see a visual in the output, that doesn't mean that the visual is not decoded, is not played, okay? So there, because of Leonard priority, he could get his way around and have another background on top and everything, and it's all looking nice for the output, we're all fine, but check that here in our case, our programmation is not very good, because we have an extra layer, which is currently decoding the visuals, that goes nowhere. So for now, I put extra pressure to my system. In a way, you can see that my system is pretty okay, but I still put an extra pressure for nothing, because no one can see that. So try to have a clean programmation, as Leo explained, to trying to avoid those cases. Hopefully, there is always a way to get around that, but just try to have those. Also, let's say you have 4 surfaces. Those 4 surfaces need to receive the same piece of content. I will advise you, don't use 4 layers that goes to each individual surface. Try to use a group of 4 surfaces. That will save you layers numbers, of course, and that can give you more flexibility in the case you need to change something, because using 1 layer to 4 outputs will save you three layers basically. And you have 36 layers. The numbers of layers is limited at some point. 36 is already a lot, but that can go pretty fast. So try to optimize the use of group outputs, then use multiple layers going to different outputs with the same visual.
What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you what we made. I'm going to wrap up the seminar, and then we'll go over to a Q&A.
Yeah, indeed, some questions. So you can already have some questions in the chat.
Yep.
For now, there is not so much question there, guys. So if you have some questions, feel free to ask them now.
We would like to say we have a small delay talking and reading the Facebook. So if you type your question now, you have to wait approximately 10 to 15 seconds, maybe.
Something like that. Yeah. I think it's okay.
So if you already start questioning,
home, so.
we give you a question in 10 to 15 seconds. So what we made, this is the full output that you're seeing. On the bottom, the top left, you see screen number 1. Top right is screen number 2. The bottom is the LED floor. This is the base background. This is the award show we're going to do, the ArKaos Example Awards, and we have 2 nominees, Leonard and Benjamin UPA. And the next one is the winner. Benjamin is the winner, and we also changed the background. This is a simple setup that we would use for a TV show or a corporate event. For example, the tag names Leonard or Benjamin can be PowerPoint, picture-in-pictures, can also be a video input. If you're running an external machine, running the PowerPoint and receiving the PowerPoint via HDMI or SDI, we can also scale it. This can be a video that your client wants to play, whatever you want. But this is a great example from for a typical kind of show that we would run with ArKaos.
Okay, good. I don't see any questions so far. Let's give a few seconds more. I can refresh my page if I'm not seeing everything.
Whatever our client says.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. So I don't see. There is a question about. Would be nice to use NDI. So yeah, indeed. So for now, capture of visuals. So you can go through cameras. So Leo can maybe show where the cameras. We have as well in the library management. We have as well capture through spots. For now, we don't have native NDI inputs. I'm sorry with that. GrandVGF MediaMaster doesn't for now. If you install tool of NewTek, NewTek is the company that does NDI. Company based in US. If you you install the tool there, you can have up to 1 camera NDI capture in MediaMaster. You just have to install the suite, the tool suite of NewTek, and you will get automatically in the folder of camera, which is.
I will give a short introduction. If you go to the library management and you scroll completely down, you can see folder 254, where you can see all the camera inputs. And these are all the inputs that your server recognizes. This can be a webcam, a USB interface, a built-in capture card. And this is the same way as you would approach a video. If you would say, I'm going back to GrandMA. If you would say, I would like to have layer 8, I open up layer 8. We go to Gobo and we choose folder 245. This is camera, and then we take the first camera. This will be the input of the first camera. Maybe the second camera will be the webcam. No,
the webcam is currently used by the live, so we can't use it, unfortunately.
So this is the same way as if you would have an input
it's
card.
Using the same way indeed. That's like a visual. So the input card are automatically detected in our servers. For instance, we use the data path input card. There, the resolution of input of the signal is also automatically detected. There is no setting that need to be done. The hardware will recognize that. We have on our website a list of input cards that we recommend, some that we don't recommend, to be honest. advice, guys. We don't sell input card, but we just advise you to use some hardware or not. So that will be the way. Also, as I explained, no NDI input yet. You can see there on the library management, there is some reserve folder. The NDI input in the next version of MediaMaster will be in those folders. So you just have to be a bit patient for that. I hope it will come soon. Small questions about ShamSys, that sometimes when you center a value, you center a layer, question from Alexander, center a layer, you can see small offsets. Again, on MA 50%, I never had the issue. Yeah, again, as you can see, MediaMaster is reacting like a moving head to a DMX value. So the fixture mode, actually, it's just like a moving head that receives DMX. So if by some operation in the ShamSys you are missing some center value, or you feel that the reset is not correct, unfortunately we don't have control into MediaMaster. You should maybe check in the ShamSys if there is some setting engaged, if the fine is engaged or something like that. There I cannot give you a solution from the software. Maybe Leo
I can give you the solution, because if you have the problem in GrandMA, if you take one layer,
in GrandMA seems to be okay.
It is okay, but meaning you're not completely at 50, and I think also the default, I'm going to check, is at 50.2.
So we give default value. Yeah, that's built into the library, into the fixture. So depending of the brand of the lighting desk, sometimes the manufacturer of the lighting desk build himself the fixture, like ShamSys does. MA, it's another company doing that for them. We pass the information and they build that into their desk. So
I just opened the fixture from GrandMA. So this is inside the patch, and if you see, there are a few parameters like audio balance or the effect parameter. Are also the same for saturation. These are all on 50.2. I think this has something to do with DMX values from 0 to 255 or from 1 to 255. It would be something like that. So I can advise you, if you're next time on a ShamSys, you see this offset problem, maybe instead of using 50, use 50.2. Or adjust your DMX output like I only know how to do it in GrandMA. But if you edit the row, you don't go from 0 to 100, but you go from 1 to 100, and then this will be recalibrated. Mm-hmm. That can be an issue. But as I see in GrandMA, position and rotate are exactly on 50. There are a few parameters like image adjust or brightness.
There you can you edit those parameters? Let's say now you are doing some cues and some center value are not correct. Can you edit that and update, or you need to redo the cue?
The problem is, once you've touched your parameter inside your programmer, it won't recognize the link to the default anymore. So
So you better check that before.
Yeah.
Okay.
So once you've took one file, Michael, and you look at the saturation, it says 50.2. If I would type this at 50, and if I would store it now, we've lost the connection to the default value, and we need to readjust this value inside every cue or inside the preset.
Okay.
If this isn't correct, normally I know for sure that the GrandMA fixture file is correct. I know there are a few values like 50.2 and stuff like that, but I most of the times work from presets, and before making a preset, I'm going to go inside my GUI. So I'm giving the ArKaos here. I go inside my GUI, and like if I want to set up my outputs, I scroll on my wheel, I see the pops, I see it popping through all the groups. And then I make my presets. And if I need to do an adjustment for a color or whatever, I open the preset, and I should work that way.
Okay, good, thank you. Any other questions? I think so far it's fine. I'm gonna give you a few seconds more, guys. I think it's okay. Anything, Leo, you like to add?
Not especially. a lot of things are preparation. A lot of things are thinking in advance, having a correct way of presetting, having a correct way of prepping your show file, and just once you've had a few layers in between, or you're using the groups, it will add a lot of flexibility to your show. And if your client has any questions, they want to add a surface, they want to have a copy of something, you just can use your groups. Or if they want special backgrounds, you already have the layer in between, and you don't need to start moving stuff because your client has a specific question.
Specific idea. The idea is to try to get us flexible and try to be a bit ahead of what we could ask you. But thank you very much, guys. Thank you for staying for this long session. That was very interesting. And I hope to see you on the next one, and take care and be safe.